Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of the Tar Heels Insider Podcast right here on SI. I'm your host, Grant Sachere, bringing you all the latest news in regards to North Carolina athletics. And I've had a busy week, right? Of course, we're entering week 2 of fall camp. And we will have our second media availability day tomorrow, and me and Jeremiah, or Tacho, will be on here to discuss what happened. There will be no practice. I think they have an off day, actually, if I remember correctly. But there's going to be several coaches speaking tomorrow, not only including Bill Belichick, but Steve Belichick, the defense coordinator. We'll hear from offensive coordinator Freddie Kitchens. We'll also hear from the special teams coordinator Mike Precho. I think that's pronounced his last name. And also we'll hear from two players as well. Special teams coordinator Mike Prefer. My bad. I didn't have it on my screen. Will be available to the media along with Bill Belichick, Freddie Kitchens, and Steve Belichick. Also, Austin Blasky and Leroy Jackson will speak to the media. Of course, we all know Austin Blasky. He was starting center for North Carolina last year. Now he will be moving to guard. So we'll hear from him and his move. Of course, Austin Blasky has played guard before. Actually, he's played both guard and tackle. You guys will be able to hear from him tomorrow. We'll be posting videos all throughout the day tomorrow. We got 6 videos I got to post, so we're going to make sure I have that for you guys all tomorrow. And then also Leroy Jackson is a defensive tackle. You guys probably never heard of him. He really didn't play much last year, and that's because he redshirted last year. So for him to be speaking to the media lets me know that he's going to play a huge factor for this defense this year. Bill Belichick doesn't bring up guys to speak to the media unless, probably because they're good with the media. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I mean, we've seen guys, throughout my career, I've seen guys who really don't play that much speak to the media, probably because they're the best in terms of speaking with the media and getting the team's message across the board. But he could also be a huge factor for this team because he's a redshirt freshman. It's not like he is a junior senior that doesn't play a whole lot. He is a redshirt freshman. So I think, and without doubt in my mind, he will play a huge factor in this defense. I can't wait to hear from him to see what he has to say. What he has to say about the defensive line. We're going to have a lot of great content coming up throughout the week. But there was something that I've been covering since Saturday, right, when we had the first media availability day. And Bill Belichick mentioned a good bit about, well, honestly, he didn't mention a good bit, but throughout the day, all the press conferences that I attended, physicality and aggressiveness was something that was brought up in each and every one. And I'm not saying North Carolina isn't a physical football team, right? I mean, they've had, and went offensively at least, right? Offensively, I would say they're a decently physical team, right? I mean, they've had what, 5 of the last 6 years. I mean, you've had a 1,000-yard running back, and 2020 you had 2 of them. So I mean, they can run the ball, and nobody can't deny that North Carolina cannot run the ball. Right? Amarion Hampton is the first player in UNC history to rush for 1,500 yards back-to-back. Only 4 other players in ACC history have done that. So I'm not saying they are not a physical team, but they are more of a finesse team, and really how much of that has to do with the fact that, hey, you have very talented running backs, especially Amarion Hampton. I mean, he went to the first round. Right, North Carolina's had a lot of running backs come through the last few years, right? And they've had really good careers in North Carolina. But none of them were drafted in the first round like Amarion Hampton. Amarion Hampton is a very special running back. But, a lot of the North Carolina's rushing success had to do with having fantastic tailbacks who are all really talented, can all do multiple things. And on top of that, having Sam Howell and Drake May as your starting quarterbacks. Sam Howell is the school's all-time passing leader, right? Drake May is the school's most talented quarterback to ever come through Chapel Hill, without a doubt. So how much of that, those two factors had to do with North Carolina's rushing success, which I do think is a lot. Because, I mean, North Carolina really hasn't had a whole lot of offensive linemen drafted in recent years. So they're more of a finesse team than a physical team. I mean, they're not a team that will run the ball down your throat. They want to run the ball down your throat. They run the ball, and because they know they can run the ball, they're not running the ball because they have a mindset, a physical mindset that we are willing to drive you 6 inches into the dirt type of mindset, like in Michigan, right? Michigan knows they can run the ball, but they want to bully you. Same thing with Alabama when Nick Saban was there. Same thing with LSU, especially Les Miles when they couldn't throw the ball. They knew they could run the ball, but they wanted to run the football. There's a difference between knowing you can run the football and wanting to throw the football, right? Because North Carolina, from 2019 through 2023, they had two of the best quarterbacks in program history, one of which was a first-round draft pick. So they ran the ball to mix it up a bit, but they didn't run the ball because they wanted to run the ball. They ran the football because they know they could run the football, and also to ease off the pressure off of Sam Howell and Drake May. But then you get to the defense. The defense, you guys get the gist of it. The defense has been bad, right? Like for a very long time. I mean, throughout the 21st century, North Carolina's defense has been bad, right? And I actually talked about it in an article, in my top 5 quarterbacks article. I mentioned Darren Durant. I had Darren Durant in my top 5 quarterbacks. And if you look at his stats for the time he played, were actually fantastic. I mean, he retired as the school's all-time passing leader. But if you look at why they weren't good, they weren't a good football team during his 4 years here in Chapel Hill, it was because the defense was terrible. Horrible. One of the worst in college football, and the worst in the ACC. And then fast forward, we have 2 quarterbacks, all-time great quarterbacks, and Sam Howell and Drake May, especially Drake May. I mean, Sam Howell's first 2 years, the defense was average. Right? They were 49th in total defense and 58th in total defense. That's in 2019, 2020. Of course, 2020 was the year they went to the Orange Bowl, which was their first major bowl game that they went to since 1949, right? So very long time. 4 years after World War II ended. Then you start going from 2021 onward. They were 94th in total defense, 115th in total defense, 94th in total defense. So they're 94th in 2021, allowing 418 yards per game. They're 115th in 2022, allowing 436.5 yards per game. That's actually more than what North Carolina had averaged last year. North Carolina averaged 406 yards per game last year, to kind of give a reference to how bad that really is. Then 2023, they were 94th in total defense, 404.4, and they're 72nd in total defense with 375.8 yards per game. And yes, a lot of that has to do with the pass defense, right? It was not very good. How much of that was because the players were good, or how much of that was because the scheme was bad? Time will tell, because some of those guys are actually back for this year's team. But I think they will be better, and I've explained that in past podcasts and also past articles. But you should also blame the rush defense as well. I mean, the North Carolina against opposing running games has been bad. I mean, 2019-2020, they were 51st and 50th. But the 50th is the best rank they've ever gotten throughout the last 5 seasons or 6 seasons. They were 97th in 2021, 85th in 2022, 90th in 2023, and there are 66, which, is an improvement. But again, below average rush defense, 149.5 yards per game. If you're North Carolina, you want to fix that. You have to fix that. If you want to compete for ACC championships or even go to the playoff, you have to fix the defense, especially up front. You need to have more physicality. This North Carolina team, as talented as it's been, with a lot of very talented players, you can't deny the talent that's come through Chapel Hill really in the last 5-6 seasons. But the problem is you can see them as soft. North Carolina is a team that, yeah, you can say, well, yeah, they got talent. Yeah, they're pretty good. They got talent. But, they're whatever. Why? Because they're not a tough team. They're not a physical. They have never been a physical team up front from the offensive side and the defensive side of the ball. And that's something that Bill Belichick wants to fix. And one of the reasons why I kept Freddie Kitchens, because Freddie Kitchens wants to run the ball. And this is what you have to say about Freddie Kitchens. Freddie Kitchens is a very aggressive coach. He wants to have a physical team, a physical running game, and a physical presence on the offense. We just don't want to run backwards on every play. We want to be aggressive, and we think we have the players to run that type of offense. And they do. North Carolina has run the ball successfully. But can they do it in a physical style type of offense? Run the ball down your throat type of offense? Yes, they will pass the ball. Look, they have a dynamic quarterback in Gio Lopez. And even if Gio Lopez isn't the starting quarterback, Max Johnson is fully capable of doing that. Max Johnson was in a pro-style offense at Texas A&M. Very similar type of offense. So he can get the job done as well. And speaking of defense, Marcus Allen, who's a veteran on this team. It's going to be a 4-year starter, I believe, for North Carolina. He's been starting for the last 3 years, so he probably is a 4-year starter. But he's one of the veteran players on this team, let alone the defense. And this is what he had to say when Coach Belichick came in. I figured things might really change. I think it's good that we're being really physical in practice so we can carry that physicality into games. Ultimately, football is about who wants it more, who's willing to go out there and lay it all on the line. The physical practices we're having now, with more emphasis on tackling, are going to be really beneficial for us. So you're already seeing the effect. You're already seeing the veteran players, how it's affecting them. And also they love it, right? Of course, defensive players love it. They love physicality. That's why they play defense. But, you're starting to see a guy like Marcus Allen really appreciate the level of physicality that he's seen since Bill Belichick has entered the fold. And Kamari House, who also spoke on Saturday, who, by the way, is very familiar with the Belichick way, right? He played under Steve, Bill's son. Steve was the defense coordinator at Washington. Washington actually was the year they went to the national championship, people don't realize how bad that defense was. They went to the national championship game despite their defense being really bad. And Steve Belichick came in from the defense is what, in the hundreds, 110s in terms of total defense. In 1 year, with Steve Belichick being there, they had the 28th best defense in the country and the second best defense in the country because of a mindset change. So if there's anybody you can bring in a mindset change, it's Steve Belichick. Well, of course it's Bill Belichick, but Steve Belichick is fully capable of doing that as well. He did that. Steve Belichick, for a lot of his career, coached under his dad. And so the job he did at Washington, his dad wasn't around. And he succeeded greatly. And now he's coming over to North Carolina, and I really think he could change things around. And this is what Kamari House had to say. Our standard is to be tough, smart, and dependable. That's what we expect from all of our players. My teammates and I, we just try to remind everyone to bring that mindset every day. Let's start there, win each day, go 1-0 every day. We're still trying to win today. We've got meetings in the lift coming up, so it's about attacking each part of the day and going on from there. That's the kind of mindset you want this team to have. You want them to be aggressive. You want them to be a physical at the point of attack. You want them to be excited for the next step, the next opportunity, the next day, the next game, the next week, the next month, the next year. You want guys who are aggressive, in terms of accomplishing the goals, but not only that, being physical. North Carolina, if they want to achieve what they really want to achieve, you have to be physical at the point of attack, whether it's on the offensive side of the ball and on the defensive side of the ball. And I think that can change under Bill Belichick. The resume speaks for itself. He's got more rings on his fingers than, actual fingers. So he's gonna turn around, right? He's a Bill Parcells guy. Bill Parcells, nobody's better to turn around bad situations than Bill Parcells. So he has that. Then on top of that, he's had 8 Super Bowl rings on his fingers. 6 as a head coach, 2 as a defensive coordinator for the Giants in the 80s. I think he could turn this thing around. And I think this year, it's not going to happen overnight, but I do think you will see improvement from this team from a physicality standpoint. And I think you would especially see on the defensive side of the ball where they're going to need it the most. I think the physicality part is already there for the offense, even though it's more finesse. It's there for the offense. We have to wait and see if it's there for the defense. But I think at this point in time, I think it can be. I think the defense will improve. I think the physicality will improve. And I think a lot of that has to do with Bill Belichick being here and along with the Belichick way. That's going to wrap up today's episode for this Tar Heels Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Grant Sashere, the lead beat writer here for North Carolina Tar Heels on SI. Make sure to follow us on social media, Twitter and Facebook. Just look up North Carolina Tar Heels on SI. We will be one of the first things to pop up. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next one, and I'll see you guys later.